You are listening to Recovery Queen Melissa Presents Tales from the Trap. I am your host, Melissa McMillan. I am a recovering addict, a human trafficking survivor, and yes, a human trafficking convict. I spent 20 years in active addiction, experiencing things most couldn't imagine. This podcast is where we tell the truth about the streets, about the system, about survival, recovery, trauma, and the people who never made it out. These stories are raw, real, and sometimes they're hard to hear, but you know what? They matter. This is Tales from the Trap. Hi, we are in the basement today because the kids are upstairs and I don't like doing this where my kids are in earshot. So we are filming Tales from the Trap from the basement tonight. So before I start going into questions, I have questions about family dynamics, parenting after trauma and addiction, rebuilding a family from scratch. We got a whole bunch of questions here that I'm going to go through. But what I really want to talk about tonight, and what I've been talking about on Facebook today, is this new thing of people in my community going downtown and putting a camera in the faces of our most vulnerable demographics. I have been doing this, engaging with addicts in recovery and people who survived all the things: exploitation, domestic violence, active addiction, sex work, all the things, right? I've been doing this for almost 5 years. Why do you think I have not went downtown? I have a camera. I have a microphone. I have lights and people that will come with me. What I don't have is the desire to exploit human beings in their most degraded form. I lived active addiction and being unhoused and being pregnant on the streets and all the things for a very, very long time. I could not imagine, even with consent, nobody should be going down there to Energy Court or wherever and putting a camera in the faces of the people experiencing the horrors down there. I was down there when the climate was very, very similar, and I could not imagine. They do not understand the ramifications of having themselves posted online to raise awareness for the debilitating mental health and addictions crisis that is going on. It's not an equal playing field. And you can go down there and have outreach workers and people working frontline. Thank you for raising awareness. But I've been able to do the same thing without putting a camera in the face of people who are living and breathing it every day. That is exploitation. I don't care. I don't care where your heart may be in a great place. And I applaud those who think they're doing something good, but they're not. It is not an equal playing field. There are too many long-term ramifications. Can you imagine if I would have been filmed downtown in psychosis, big, pregnant, homeless, pushing my double stroller in the snow, and that was posted online, and then I get better, and then I get better, and that is out there for the world to see. And yeah, I make content about my active addiction, but I control the fucking narrative. Right? It is not an equal playing field, and you can think you are doing these people a service, and these people are thanking you, and they're like, thank you for coming down here and raising. They are not. They are going through a debilitating mental health crisis. Okay? Right. It is not like there is no recourse when someone's face is attached to a campaign of trying to raise awareness to people being unhoused, addicted, and mentally ill downtown. Nobody should have their face attached to a campaign like that, because there's no recourse and far too much ramifications in the future if this person was to get better, getting their kids back, going to get a job, all of the things that I've achieved a lot. right? I've achieved a lot. I've got my own little podcast going. I've been on other people's podcasts. I've gotten awards. I'm doing really well. I'm working every single day to help the crisis at hand. And still, I have problems every time I try to move forward because of the stigma around mental health and addiction, and because it is public knowledge that I was an addict, that I was unhoused, that I was downtown, that I was charged with human trafficking. I have roadblock after roadblock after roadblock because of my past. Imagine if somebody would have filmed me and you go and type in my name into Google and you see the video, regardless if I'm almost 5 years sober, because of the stigma, there's far too many ramifications, and consent is not, it's not an equal playing field when you're not going through a mental health crisis and you're filming people who are. Do you get it? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. I will agree to disagree. There are people online that are doing this in my community, and I think it's so distasteful. It leaves a very sour taste in my mouth, and I will never agree with putting people in the midst of a debilitating mental health crisis online, regardless of consent. That is exploitation, period, point blank. So there's a couple people that think it's okay to go downtown with their cameras rolling and film the crisis that is happening at Energy Court in downtown. And I said, no, that is exploitation, because when you're in a debilitating mental health crisis, consent and survival is not the same as consent and safety, right? So that's exploitation, because awareness doesn't require voyeurism, right? So I'm having this conversation with this gentleman online that keeps going downtown and making content based on the poor souls that are down there. And he's like, oh, but they're thanking me. They're thanking me. Right. But they also don't understand the long-term ramifications of having their face plastered online in active addiction. So, of course, you know what I do. I like to write. So I wrote a spoken word, and this is called Don't Fucking Point a Camera at Pain You've Never Lived. You think I don't know what goes on downtown? You think I need a lecture on vulnerability from someone who's never had to survive it? Okay. Let me break something down for you, though. Slow, clear, but fucking honest. I wasn't just downtown. Okay, I didn't just pass through. I didn't go down there, film some people, and then get to go home at night. I lived there. I slept on concrete cold enough to freeze the parts of you that still believed you'd ever get back up. I didn't just walk those streets, okay? I carried my whole fucking life in a double stroller that I found by a Nimbin. And a belly, a big, old, round belly, 9 months pregnant, while I panhandled outside the Wolves game, begging strangers for food. So I could eat. So I could keep the baby inside me alive for just one more night. You don't forget that kind of cold, but you also don't forget the looks you get. The disgust, the pity, the way people hold their kids' hands tighter when they walk past you because they think broken is contagious. You don't forget turning tricks in alleyways because your body was the only currency you had left, and hunger doesn't give a fuck about morals or shame. You don't forget the sound of your stomach growling so loud that it starts to compete with your heartbeat. You don't forget the snow either, packing into the cuffs of your jeans while you're standing outside with your hand out, hoping for change, hoping for mercy, hoping for anything that tastes like being treated human for even 10 seconds. So don't tell me what downtown is. Don't tell me what our vulnerable need, because when you're out there, when you're starving, cold, exhausted, pregnant, panicked, and selling pieces of yourself just to stay alive, the last thing you fucking need is a camera in your face. You know what that feels like? It feels like being stripped from the bone all over again. Feels like your lowest moment being turned into someone's fucking project. I've had people look at me like I wasn't even human down there. I've had people look at me and treat me like a fucking statistic, but at least back then, No one was sticking a lens in my face to build a brand off my suffering. Raising awareness doesn't require voyeurism. Advocacy doesn't require humiliation, and consent isn't even real when someone's choosing between being recorded or being left alone with the cold. If you really cared, you'd show up without the camera. You'd show up without needing proof that you were a good person that day. You'd show up with food and gloves and warmth and respect, not a fucking tripod. Because I survived that world. Barehanded, hungry, pregnant, alone, and trust me, there's a universe of difference between helping someone and filming them survive. So don't tell me I don't understand what's going on downtown, because I'm well fucking aware. I live the kind of days your camera could never capture without cheapening the truth. Some stories, you earn the right to tell. Others you film because you're too far removed to understand the damage you're doing. I didn't need a camera when I was 9 months pregnant, begging outside the arena with snow in my shoes and shame in my throat. I needed compassion. I needed humanity, not exposure, not exploitation, not content. So if you think filming pain is the same thing as fighting for people, you've never lived the fucking difference. So I have done a lot of problematic shit in my day on social media. I'm a millennial. I'm cringy as fuck. And I could take accountability for that. What I don't get is like, you're doing something that people are saying is morally wrong and further marginalizing a demographic, a vulnerable demographic who don't understand the ramifications of what they're doing because they're in a mental health crisis, right? When people are like doing this, using the face of Energy Court to make campaigns to fundraise or whatever the fuck, anything that has to do with like marketing and businesses and all that shit, when it is you're using these people as like, I can't do it. Stop. That's exploitation. Stop. So, and like, I'm not the one. There's so many people telling this fucking human being to stop. And like, okay, so there's this guy in Toronto who came here and did the same thing, and I didn't even see him. I was already on his Toronto page because he goes around to all the communities in Canada filming the crisis, right? And I was on his page before he even came to Sudbury, and I was like, homie, this is exploitation, and the information the guy's giving is inaccurate. Like, there's no gang violence in Toronto. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're giving inaccurate information. What do you mean there's no gang violence in Toronto? Anyways, so he came here and he like filmed some guy, had to Narcan somebody. Like, it's so crazy how I've been able to raise awareness and amplify the plight of these people without having to go downtown one time. Besides to like give food and fucking shit, you know what I mean? Or like drive people places and stuff and like work with clients. But like, I'm not down there filming. I could never. Okay, so I have to deal with the fallout of my active addiction, and I'm 5 years sober almost in April. And I've achieved a lot. And I've been recognized for my achievements, right? Which is fucking crazy and amazing. And I still have to deal with the consequences of my actions and the consequences of my active addiction. I am so lucky that nobody went downtown and put a camera in my face, because bitch, you know me, I would have been out here talking some shit. If there was, I couldn't imagine. There's two people in our community that are down there on a regular basis putting camera in the faces of people who don't understand the ramifications. And it's gross because consent and survival is not the same as consent and safety, right? like exploitation 101, my friend. It's crazy. It's just crazy to me. And like, instead of listening to us, like, we're not telling you to be mean, bro. We're telling you because we know what we're talking about. And it's not just one person. There's a whole shitload of us. And when I made that spoken word, I had like 10 people from my city message me and knew exactly who the fuck I was talking about. So, bro, stop. Leave the cameras at home. You want to do the work? Go do the work. You can talk about it after like I do. Don't be bringing... Stop. It's gross. Okay, so I have a whole bunch of questions here. And I got a bunch of family dynamic ones, but I've also got some about what we've already been talking about. So, when someone is in a mental health and addictions crisis, what do people misunderstand about their ability to give consent on camera? Listen, could you imagine if Trap House Mel was downtown with a camera in her face? The ramifications of that would have been astronomical. I could not imagine if I would have had to experience that because I was not well down there. You are not okay. I have issues with trying to move forward as a normie because of my active addiction, right? Can you imagine if there was some weirdo clip of me saying some weirdo fucking shit all over fucking YouTube? You can't do that. Consent in survival is not the same as consent in safety. They don't understand the long term ramifications of what that can do or have their face tied to a campaign. Like, no, bro. No. Um, okay. What does exploitation look like versus true advocacy and support? Okay, so you can go downtown and document the crisis without putting a camera in the faces of people. You know, like I've went to the stroll and shown y'all where some shit went down without showing other working women. It's the same thing. I think amplifying the voices of survivors is how you advocate. You don't need to go down there and document suffering of strangers who may in the moment be like, yeah, I'll say something. Bitch, I would have been all up in there saying some shit. Could you imagine? No. Nope. No. Um, I remember allowing someone to photograph me using IV drugs. I met a couple downtown, and it's so weird because one of the girls like ended up being like really good friends with my parents after my parents took custody, and she used to take the kids all the time. It was so weird how I met these people. I'm downtown at the bus depot, and I'm homeless and I'm on the streets, and this photographer and his girlfriend, they were going to university or something, asked me if they bought me drugs, if I could go to their house and allow them to photograph me doing IV drugs. And I did. Thank fuck I don't know where any of that shit is. That guy is not well right now. Anyways, she is well, and our daughters were like best friends for a long time. But yeah, I stayed friends with her for a really long time. Just so weird how we met. Her boyfriend was weird. It was her boyfriend. It wasn't really her. She's actually a really nice girl. But yeah, they took pictures of me getting high. Can you imagine the ramifications? No. Oh God. I can't even imagine. Can't do that. I think amplifying the voices of survivors is one of the best ways to advocate for people that are still experiencing it, because nobody can tell you what that world is like. And it's better coming from somebody who is on the other side of it, because it amplifies hope. It amplifies hope. We know what is going on. We see it with our own eyes down there. We don't need you to document it. Everybody's well aware. Our city is grasping at straws trying to fix it, but we are not unlike millions of little fucking towns all over the city, all over the country, thousands of little towns. Sorry, I over exaggerate. Millions of towns. No, but like we're the same as Barrie and all the little fucking towns that are experiencing the fentanyl epidemic. You don't have to go down there, homie. You don't have to film yourself narcanning people. Like there's this guy. I don't even know. Maybe Tom Price. My friend had messaged me and she was like, him and Tom Price. I don't know who Tom Price is, but I'm almost positive it's this guy. Actually, I should Google it, but whatever. This guy, he goes around the cities in our country and he documents how fucked up it is and the fentanyl epidemic. And he just like puts cameras in faces of people that are in a debilitating mental health crisis, and it's fucking wrong, in my opinion. Totally fucking wrong. So, anyways, he does this, and like I noticed what he was doing because he comes up on my shit because I'm an addict, obviously. So he came up on my YouTube. Before he even came to my city, I was up in his comments because he was talking about how he was doing Toronto, like downtown Toronto. He was talking about how there's no gang violence in Toronto. I was like, there's gang violence here because of Toronto. And I'm, 5 hours up north. Like, what are you even talking about? You're giving misinformation. There's no gang violence in Toronto. Bro. Anyways, yeah, so I had said some shit on his thing. He responded really goofy, and it was unfortunate. Like, I don't understand why people can't be receptive to other people's criticism. Criticize me, bitch, and I'll make a video response. I don't have to shut you down. But this guy shut me down like I didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. I'm like, bitch, shut up. Stop. I worked in Toronto. I know there's fucking gang violence in Toronto. You're wrong. Anyways, so and then he came here and he made a fucking video. My dad even sent me the video. I didn't watch it because I don't like that. Don't he recorded himself Narcan and somebody. Yes, we are in the midst of a mental health fucking fentanyl crisis. We are well aware you are not doing anybody justices by putting a camera in the face of the suffering. Sorry. I'm not, it's not a vibe for me. Thanks. We give people shit online for recording people. Like, the people will be like, put stupid songs in the background. It'll be somebody doing the fent fold. Like, gross. You're gross. Don't do that. It's the same thing. It's exploitation because what? Consent and survival is not the same as consent and safety. Exploitation 101. Bro, I can give you a couple of fucking Cam H links where you can do some fucking human trafficking training and you will understand very quickly that what you're doing is exploitation. Why don't you go put a bunch of vulnerable women on the internet and maybe, that's so, especially people's locations, and human trafficking is a problem. You're putting vulnerable people in stupid situations, dummy. Anyways, next question. When you were pregnant and unhoused, what was a day in your life actually like? I've already done this before, but I'll do it again. So we slept at this shelter, and you could go in at like 8 o'clock at night, and you'd have to line up. And I would come in with my double stroller full of my shit with a blanket on top, and we would get the same beds with our little crew of people. It was always like me, my baby dad, and a couple dudes and a girl, and there's just a bunch of us. And we always stayed together, and we would panhandle together, and we would pool our money together to get drugs, right? So we would go there at 8 o'clock at night, do that, wake up in the morning at 7 o'clock. You would have to get out. We would go across to the Tim Hortons. Usually I would sleep on the table until breakfast at the Mission. And like, I'm pushing a double stroller in the fucking snow and I'm pregnant, right? Or whatever. He was with me. So then we would go to the Mission and we would eat and have coffee and whatever and try to fucking figure out how we were going to get drugs. And then we would do that throughout the day to figure out how to get drugs. Like, we would panhandle. I would sleep. I slept a lot at the methadone clinic on the couches. And he was out doing his fucking getting copper or whatever the fuck he did, or yeah, we panhandled and shit, or we would like get drugs for other people, or we would boost. He'd run in. This guy, this plug of ours, wanted like this massager that was in the IDA downtown, and I tried to do it, but I'm not a booster, bitch. I'm not a booster. So he did it, and like we lost each other, and like it was a whole thing, and yeah. Oof. Anyways, yeah, so we would do whatever the fuck we had to do throughout the day, and then we would go have lunch at the Blue Door at the Mission, but like next door to the Mission. We go to have disgusting lunch. The lunch was always gross. Breakfast was always good. Lunch was nasty. So we would go have lunch or whatever, hang out at the Mission, and then we would go back out until 7:30 when it was supper time or whatever, 6 maybe, I don't know. No, it was 7:30. So then we would go back to the Mission and we would line up for our coffee and whatever, and then sit down, have our dinner, say up the prayer thing, and then from like most of the time we would just stay at the Mission and I would sleep or shower or like do our laundry until 8 o'clock, when either the van would come pick us up, because if it was too cold to walk from the Mission to the out of the cold shelter, they would pick us up and we would go there and line up and then go back in. And sometimes when we were there, like they had TVs and like tables and couches, like he would like dye my hair, bleach my hair. Bro, you want to see that? I'll put it in the picture of him. He bleached my hair in the foyer of the old Omega, which was the out of the cold shelter. Um, yeah. And like, yeah, it was fucked up. That place was fucked up. It was just one big trap ran by like the homeless network or something at the time. And they would like really, they hated us because we always put our cots together and like you weren't allowed to do that. And they had caught us like a couple times and would like threaten to kick us out. Whatever. Yeah, I was like pregnant. Like, you're not leaving me, bro. Like, pull your fucking cot a little closer. And then we would do it all over the next day. The only day that was different was like Sunday, when it would be like church at the Mission. Sunday, I'd go to the Mission and I'd have church, and then I would cry and cry and cry and cry and cry and like have this epiphany that I'm gonna get better. And I'd start looking for apartments, and I ended up getting an apartment. I got an apartment for like 6 months, and then we lost it when he jumped out the window and broke, all that, that story. Um, yeah, yeah. Next. What emotions did you feel when you panhandled outside the Wolves game with a baby on the way? Um, I, what do you think? How do you think it felt? Didn't feel good. Didn't feel good. I used it to my advantage. Pregnant and hungry was my sign. I had a sign that said pregnant and hungry, bitch. But the cool part was on the way out, because they would be like drinking inside, right? I think you can drink inside the Wolves game. They would be super happy on the way out. On the way in, they wouldn't even look at you. On the way out, you'd be getting like pizza and like, yeah, they were cool. It was like a lot of the teenagers, like the college students and shit, would give us stuff. Um, I'll never forget. I was panhandling outside the bank, and this couple women in a relationship. I don't know where he was, but I was panhandling outside the bank, and the bank came out and was like, "Mel, you got to move. You can't do that here." So I went across to like Peppa Panini or some shit, and these ladies came in and they saw me there with my sign, and they had seen me get kicked out of the bank. So they were like, do you want to come sit with us and have lunch? And I was like, the fuck yeah. So I went in, and I just remember one of the girls kept saying, "You're so smart. You're so smart. Oh my God." Like, they asked a lot of questions about like why I was in that position, and I probably lied. I don't even remember. Um, but yeah, that was nice. I'll never forget them. I had a good panini. Yeah, it was good. Okay, let's go on to another one. How does being almost 5 years sober change the way you viewed the old version of yourself? I just feel sorry for her. But the thing is, like, I can't even change anything. I can't change anything. If I changed anything, I wouldn't have my kids. Jamie wouldn't have Kai. Like, I can't change anything, right? So I just feel sorry for her. I think she was very, very misunderstood. And I think people didn't know how to support her. And she was the problem. She was the problem. Yeah. Being the problem for the vast majority of your life, like from mid adolescence to like 5 years ago, being the problem is a lot to carry. It's that's why I have a lot. I don't have patience for humans anymore, and I see their character defects and their patterns of behavior, and I don't have patience for them to be oblivious to it. And like I did a lot of work to be the best version of myself that I can be, and if you I can't deal with weird behavior with people. Like I can't anymore. Um yeah. Yeah. I go on tangents, eh? Um how did surviving downtown shape the advocate you are today? I just understand it. Like I understand it, and even like I try my best to give when I see people panhandling in the median. Like they know to come to my car when they see my car because they know they're going to get something from me. I try my best because I know I treat them like humans. I call them bro and like by their first names, even though they probably don't remember me. Like I know a couple of them do, but because I don't look like the person that was out there, right? So, but I still call them by their first names if I know them, because a lot of the times I do know them personally because we ate at the soup kitchen together. We were in fucking, So, yeah, I just try my best to treat them like they're on the same level as me because I'll never forget where I came from. And I also like there are so many downtown that I know personally and I would be able to walk up to with a fucking camera and they would talk to me, and I could never bring myself to do it. I could never. I don't know. I just don't understand people. It's people who've never experienced it that are doing what they're doing. It's never somebody who was out there. If you were out there, you would never do that to someone. That's the problem. And when people who were out there are telling you you're the problem, stop doing that, you getting defensive and arguing is like it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes at why you're doing what you're doing, because it's not to help people. If we're the ones that you're trying to help, we're the ones that made it out, we're the survivors of it, and we're telling you what you're doing is not helping and you're ignoring us, you're not doing it to help the people down there. You're not. Okay, let's move on to family dynamics. I'm going to answer like one and then I'm going to go for a smoke. Um, I think I've already done a couple of these. Yeah, I have. Okay. What day in recovery felt like a plot twist in your life story? What day in recovery felt like a plot What day in recovery felt like a plot twist in your story? Okay, so when I started to be recognized for what I'm doing, because there were so many people who were like, she's not even going to stay sober. So when I stayed sober and started to do what I'm doing and help people, I think that was a big plot twist. People were like, whoa, damn, she's on the news and shit. Like even like my ex mother-in-law and shit saying stuff. I'm recording, Brooke. I see you snapping me a million times. I forgot to put me on do not disturb. It's always Brooke. And then I'm like trying to read the phone. But yeah, that was a plot twist. Getting my kids back was a plot twist too, bitch. That was a plot twist and a half. Also, deciding that Emily's best place was to be with her aunt. Plot twist, you know? It was good for the plot, though. It'll be good for the book. People keep saying, you need to write a book. I'm going to when I'm old. Not now. I'm not even fucking. I'm not even 40, bitch. I just turned 40. Okay, so the other day, me and my aunt are looking at cars, and we're at this guy's house, and we're talking about my aunt's like, you're doing a good thing. She's famous. And then starts telling the guy my whole life story. And then he starts telling me how his like best friend from childhood is an addict down there. And like, I knew the guy and I was like crazy. And he's like, how old are you? And I asked him how old he was. Cause I'm like, where are you from? Like, you from the Valley, blah, blah, blah. And he tells me, and I'm like, I'm 30. And then I look at my aunt and she's like, you just turned 40. I did. I'm 40, bro. Yeah. So anyways, when I'm older, I'll write a book. Um, what's a moment that made you say I'm not her anymore? Uh, I don't know. That's a good question. What moment made you say I'm not her anymore? Every like being able to stay the fuck away from men and keeping men away from my life and my kids' life. Like, I don't let men around my kids usually, you know? I did in August. I did in August. But 1 month out of 5 years, bro, that was a good fucking 1 month. So I did good. I still did good. I would ask them every day, is it okay that he's still here? Anyways, the kids liked him, so whatever. Um, yeah, that because the old Mel, like Trap House Mel, she needed a man around always, 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 always. Like after my like I broke up with I after 13 years I ended it with my first baby dad, and then I was with my second for 4, and then after him it was like one after the other in active addiction, right? I could never be alone. I could never be alone. I even fucked with my brother's friend one time, like for a minute too. I don't know what I was thinking. So that the whole men thing and being able to be alone and being secure and being happy without a fucking dumb man around, that is the realization that I was like, oh yeah, I ain't even her anymore. I'm not. I'm not. Having boundaries too. Trap House Mel didn't have no boundaries. I have boundaries today that I don't have patience for people. Yeah. Um which part of motherhood do you feel you're experiencing for the first time even though your kids are older? All of it. All of it. All of it. Like all of it. Bringing my kids to school every day. All of it. That I never did that. My kids were apprehended when they were babies, bro. Our Cadence was apprehended when she was 4. So being a mom today is all firsts for me. It is. Um, what's a memory that doesn't hurt anymore and what changed? Um, they all hurt still. Like, um, I don't know. Probably the shit about my son. Like, it doesn't, I've had to like turn off all emotion to survive it, but like I'm good, you know? Like I'm good, you know? Whereas before I wasn't. I think I'm just so secure in myself and as a mom, like I know what his he's in the best place considering. Um and like, you know, kids are only little for so long and I'm just like It's good. It wasn't like that for a long time though. It wasn't like that for a long time. For a really long time, I felt like I was the bad guy, and I just know that there were so many contributing factors to what happened, and I'm not the bad guy, and I was a victim in all of it. Him, all of it, from conception to apprehension to giving up custody, all of it. There's so many contributing factors, and I'm not the bad guy, and I'm a damn good mom to his sisters, and I make walking amends every single day. You know, I advocate for women who use in pregnancy. What happened was horrific. I'm blessed he was never put into the system. And I'm doing whatever I can today to make up for the mistakes of the past. But I'm good. I'm good. I'm a damn good mom, so I'm good. I have a lot of closure though when it comes to that. All the way around, I have a lot of closure. Lots of people don't get the closure that I have. Okay, so I found a good one. What acts of compassion stuck with you when you were out there? So many. Um, I've said this before, but Rizzo Access Network, the workers there, the red coats, the nurses, they were amazing. There were methadone doctors like Dr. Mike Franklin and his staff at his practice. They were my OBs. The other doctors, I forget their names, for God's sakes. It's been 12 years, but I'll always remember Mike. Yeah, they delivered my daughters. Well, one, Emily was born at home, but he was my OB. And I remember she was underweight, and she wasn't gaining weight in the hospital, and they're supposed to gain a bit, right? And I was nursing, and it was Christmas. We got released. She was born on the 19th. We had to stay 5 days because I was on methadone. And I remember Dr. Franklin came in and said, because I was crying because the nurses were acting like I wasn't going to get to go home. Even though her scores were low. They don't even do the whole score thing, I don't think, anymore. But yeah, it was 5 days at the time. So Mike comes in and he's like, babies thrive at home. Let her go. He went to bat for me with Child Protective Services so many times. Yeah, there were lots of acts of compassion. Psych ward nurses. I remember, I was in getting shock treatment. I did like 13 rounds of shock treatment because I would have done anything to get better at that point. This was like 2020 and the summer of 2020. So I'm in there for like 3 months getting shock treatment and shit. And I would come out of shock treatment, and sometimes I'd be really, really scared, and I wouldn't know where I was. And I remember coming back, and I looked on the board to see who my nurse was, but I was like out of it. And I seen that it wasn't Julie, one of the nurses that I had all the time, and it was a guy. And I freaked the fuck out. And like she came in and sat with me, and she was like off shift. Or had a different patient at the time or something. I don't know, but she went above and beyond to like make sure that I was okay and stayed with me until I like came back and was like, knew where I was, Yeah, there were a lot of acts of compassion in my active addiction. This is okay. This is a good question too, and I wanted to talk about this as well. Do people with cameras consider that families might see their loved ones online before they even know there's a crisis? So, regardless, seeing your loved one online in active addiction, experiencing a mental health crisis, and being unhoused would be horrific. I don't think people going downtown with cameras are understanding the scope of ramifications. because it's not just about the addict or the person that's unhoused or the person that is mentally ill experiencing whatever they're going through. If they're out there unhoused, it's a crisis, right? So, oh God, I don't understand how people don't see this. It's not just about them. It's about everybody around them that loves them. You know? Like I had someone reach out to me recently whose loved one was out there and asked for my help in locating them. I found the guy in like 10 minutes, just so you know. Because I've got amazing people who work out there front line and we're able to put eyes, just signs of life, you know? I couldn't imagine if somebody like that, a woman like that, a mother like that, who knows that their loved one's experiencing a mental health crisis or whatever is going on and they're out there. And then you have some guy with a camera in his face and you're on YouTube and you see your kid. Like, no, no. The thing is, if it was me with the camera in my face, I would have said some dumbass shit. My whole ass family would have saw it. My luck, I'd go viral. You know, Trap House Mel said some shit. So yeah, I don't like that. I think it's fucked up to me. I don't understand how people don't see that either. Um, what was the most humiliating or dehumanizing part of surviving downtown? Getting kicked out of places where you're just trying to stay warm. Like they would kick us out of the bus depot because I would lay down because I was pregnant and exhausted. So I would like lay down and I would get kicked out. Um, yeah, being kicked out of places when it's 40 below outside and you know I'm visibly homeless. I'm here every day with my double stroller full of fucking belongings and you can't let me lay on this fucking couch in the lobby that 3 people walk by every 2 hours. Like that's the part where I was like, fuck me, bro. And you would think that somebody would see a pregnant woman out in the cold and do something, but nothing was ever done. Nothing was ever done, bro. Yeah. Cuz we knew people that were like in our little group of people that we were at the out of the cold with and they would find places to stay during the day. And nobody would take it's hard when you're a couple. And people knew we were crazy too because like people would say y'all are going to get married in the mental institution. That's what people said about us. So we were like, always like punching each other out and shit and that's probably why nobody let us go there. Anyways, next. Um what would have happened to your life today if someone had filmed you while you were unhoused and posted it? Like, my family was so concerned about my charges that it was going to be in the paper. And it was in the paper, but because of to protect the victim, my name was not said. Everybody still knew who it was. Bitch, I posted. I don't give a fuck. That whole thing changed the trajectory of my existence. If it wasn't for that charge, I wouldn't be here. So I'm not ashamed of it. But Trap House Mel's got a big old mouth. And I can guarantee you I would have said some dumb shit. And my poor family, you know? No. Um okay, let's go on to something different here. How did your siblings experience your addiction and how did it shape who they are? So I don't ever like to speak about my brother, like not about him, but like I don't like to talk about his perspective because I don't know what it is. We've never really like hashed it out. From my perspective, it was a lot because my mom is she's just a lot. And I'm sure she was going through it and my brother was left holding the bag kind of thing. That's how I saw it and that's how I felt. I don't know his perspective. Um I do remember on occasion things that involved my brother. You know, he would buy methadone for me on the street and come dose me before work in the mines every day because I was trying to myself all the time because I was dope sick. You know, I call him crying, saying I was going to string myself up, and he'd call crisis, and the cops would come and chase me down and put me in the mental institution. Uh, he called me one day. I was in the trap. My mom and dad had Aria, and he called and he said, "Mom and Dad's got Emily now. They don't know what to do. They're struggling. Your kid's going to end up in foster care. What the fuck are you doing?" So I'm sure it was a lot, but that's just my perspective. I don't know. Maybe one day my brother will come and talk to me. We'll do it on the podcast. We're so close. We love each other, obviously. We're only a couple years apart. What's a conversation with a family member you wish you could go back and redo? I have a really good relationship with my family. Like, I don't know. Uh, there's a lot of things I wish I could redo about my aunt. Like, I told her I was going to get my plug to blow up her house and shit. I didn't remember that. She told that story on between psych wards and second chances when I interviewed her, and she told that story about me saying I was going to get my plug to blow up her house. What the fuck, Mel? I don't know, man. There's a lot of shit with my aunt that I wish I could redo, like my uncle Ron's birthday and me, like the whole fucking time, and her having to kick me out, and all the shits. All the shits I did to poor Ramona. Fuck. Um, how do you date? This is stupid. This is not really for me, but we'll try it. How do you navigate dating or relationships when your trauma still shows up? You don't. You don't. No. I'm too traumatized. There's no coming back from my shit. I don't think I'll ever be with anybody. I turn into a fucking no. I don't like who I am. I hate her. Ask Shay what happened when I met that dude and I thought I was in love. The racist. I lost my whole mind. I lost my whole mind. I can't. I can't. And I love a loser. You know that. Oops. Fuck. I'm such a professional. Um, how do you deal with the guilt of becoming the version of yourself your loved ones always wish you could be? I don't feel guilty. I'm here and I'm the best version of me I can be. So what the fuck? What do I got to apologize for? We're all good, bro. I'm good. My parents are good. My kids are good. We're all good. I don't know what that guy just said, but I'm feeling pretty curious. Hold on a second. Um okay, what's the biggest lesson the internet taught you about vulnerability? It's not like what the internet taught me, but definitely people who resonate with my shit. They love when people are real. And I think, like, bitch, you can say a lot of things about me, but I don't think anybody would be able to say that I was a fake ass bitch because I ain't. I'm a little too raw to for a lot of people, you know? But the internet definitely taught me that people relate to vulnerability. People resonate with brokenness because everybody's got a chapter in their life, especially if you resonate with my content. So you got to be here for a fucking reason, right? And people just resonate when you're real about shit. I'm trying to find there was a good one about it said what's what's the thing that all families should know about loving a person in recovery? Um we are like I'm 40, right? In people years. In my brain, I'm not that old. Dr. Phil said this. I don't know if it's true, but it makes sense to me that the your brain kind of stops developing when you start using substances. So I'm 40 in real life, but in my brain, I'm 17. When I crashed my car, my friend said, Melissa's never adulted. No wonder she's freaking the fuck out. She's a teenager in her brain. And it's true. For a lot of things, like the way I navigate stress is like a child. I freak the fuck out. um yeah. Next. Um how did becoming sober change the role you play in your family? Um I people can rely on me. I think that's changed in every aspect of my life. People can rely on me. I'm the one people rely on. When I was the crisis friend, or the crisis daughter, or the crisis niece for my entire existence, right? So definitely people being able to rely on me. Um what version of yourself do you still mourn even though she was hurting you? I don't mourn none of that shit. All the versions of me, even going up to the versions of me of early recovery. I hate that girl. She didn't know who the fuck she was. She didn't know who the fuck she was. And she still had that trap house smell, like indoctrination. I don't know, man. I don't mourn any part of who I used to be at all, at all, at all. Um, I still have just as many I don't give a fucks, but they're healthy. They're healthy, I don't give a fucks. They're not like, I'll do a home invasion kind of I don't give a fuck, or I don't give a fuck, I'm going to do illegal shit because I don't give a fuck about the consequences and going to jail and child protect. That shit, I have enough. I have healthy I don't give a fucks today, right? Like, I don't give a fuck what you think. I don't give a fuck what nobody thinks, but I do give a fuck about going to jail. Anyways, with that, I love y'all. See you on the next one.